Jimmy Haslam just lost it after what went down in Miami. Dylan Gabriel, the so-called safe choice, threw for a grand total of 55 yards while Shedeur Sanders sat on the bench like a forgotten rookie. And now, sources say the Browns owner is absolutely furious at Kevin Stefanski for what insiders are calling the worst coaching decision of the season. This might be the final straw. And what's happening inside that locker room tonight could decide Stefanski's entire future in Cleveland.
Tell you about these two struggling teams set up to meet each other. Both the Dolphins and the Browns came into this game with a matching 1-5 record. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 1-5 record. And honestly, it looked like it wasn't even supposed to be a football game. They looked every single bit of the way of a 1-5 team and how they should look. This wasn't a battle of greatness. It was two struggling NFL JV teams fighting to see who could make fewer mistakes. Yep, you're not going to like me, ladies and gentlemen, because I am a real football aficionado, and you guys want to be coddled. You Dylan Gabriel groupies want the lie to continue, but I'm only going to speak facts. The Miami Dolphins without Tyreek Hill look completely lost. And on the other side, the Cleveland Browns, still refusing to give Shedeur Sanders his shot, decided to keep trusting Dylan Gabriel, a quarterback who threw for just 55 yards in the first half, ladies and gentlemen. 55 yards. That's not football. It's not the NFL football. That's bubble screens, dump offs, and check downs. Can we be real? You probably don't believe it because you're going to say it was the battle of the left-hand matchups, the first since 2006.
Browns owner Jimmy Haslam is reportedly losing his mind behind closed doors. And honestly, can you blame him? While Shedeur Sanders sits on that bench with championship DNA running through his veins, Dylan Gabriel just put up a pathetic 55 yards in the first half against one of the worst teams in the league. 55 yards, bro. That's not NFL football. That's high school JV garbage.
Calling was so predictable. It was all safe plays, scared to throw it deep. That tells you everything you need to know about how little they believe in Dylan Gabriel. Even last week, when Shiloh came to the game with their beautiful mother, Pilar Sanders, it told you how people and the fans want to see Shedeur play, because no matter how much points you beat the Dolphins, 31 to something or whatever at the end it was, because the last 3 minutes I stopped watching, but the fans know the game was boring. It was entirely boring.
Yeah, you just heard the announcer just say it. All right. I think they're going to put Shedeur in, though. Because, look, if this game gets out of hand and Dylan's the starter, you can't keep your starter out there in garbage time, you know what I'm saying? So you got to put him out there, you know what I'm saying?
But guess what, Shiloh? They're not going to put him on there. You got to be smoking on what Mike Tomlin is smoking after the game. Look at this nigga look crazy. Mike Tomlin, what the hell is wrong with you? It's like all you step infections at the end, towards the end of 2025, y'all been looking brazy on national TV.
Myles Garrett literally had to tell the entire team that the offense is struggling and everyone else needs to step up because their quarterback can't be trusted. Meanwhile, Kevin Stefanski is out here calling bubble screen after bubble screen like he's scared to death to let his QB actually throw the football.
Opportunity to shine, he falters and gets scared. I thought you guys told me Dylan Gabriel was more athletic than Shedeur Sanders. We heard it all through the draft process and after the draft and during OTAs and training camps that Dylan is so much more athletic than Shedeur. But look at this. Look at this. Where is the athletics? Look, he gets scared. Look. Yup, he gets scared. And number 20 didn't even hit him hard. Why work hard on a scrub quarterback like Dylan? The Browns' run games was the real hero, and that was Quinshon Judkins. Let's talk about Quinshon Judkins because that young man showed heart. I've been told you guys he was a great running back. When he got arrested and all you Cleveland fans got off of that bandwagon and said he needs to be released and blah, 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 blah. I said he doesn't need the reps. He doesn't need the times. I told you guys that with this man is going to be a baller's game only. I told you he's going to be.
The fans are booing. Shedeur Sanders showed up at the game practically begging them to put her brother in, and yet Cleveland keeps running this failed experiment into the ground. This isn't just a bad game anymore. This is organizational malpractice, and I'm about to expose every single piece of it. Look, before we dive deep into this disaster, you need to understand something. This wasn't just another Sunday game. This was the Cleveland Browns versus the Miami Dolphins, both teams coming in with a pathetic 1-5 record. But here's what nobody's talking about. This was supposed to be Dylan Gabriel's redemption game. The media hyped it up as the battle of the left-handed quarterbacks, the first matchup since 2006. Hawaiian heritage, left-handed slingers, all that feel-good narrative garbage. But what we got instead was an absolute embarrassment to the sport of football. The game started, and right from Jump Street, you could tell something was off. Dylan Gabriel comes out, and instead of showing that confidence you need from your franchise quarterback, he looked timid. He looked scared. The play calling reflected it too. Kevin Stefanski wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. He doesn't trust his quarterback. Every play was a dump-off, a screen pass, a 5-yard check down. Nothing down the field. Nothing that stretched the defense. It was like watching a coach who knew his quarterback couldn't handle real NFL throws. And the stats? Man, let me break this down for you because this is where it gets absolutely ridiculous. At halftime, Dylan Gabriel had completed 5 passes for 55 yards. 55 yards. In 30 minutes of NFL football. To put that in perspective, that's less than 2 yards per minute. You could literally walk faster than that. Meanwhile, on the other side, Tua Tagovailoa was equally terrible with 37 yards, but at least Miami has the excuse that they're missing their superstar Tyreek Hill. What's Cleveland's excuse? But here's where the story takes a turn that should infuriate every Browns fan watching. While this train wreck was happening on the field, Quinshon Judkins was out there running like his life depended on it. That rookie running back carried the ball 18 times in the first half alone for 75 yards. Think about that. They had to give their rookie running back 18 carries in one half because they literally couldn't trust their quarterback to throw the football. That's not a game plan. That's desperation. That's a coaching staff admitting without words that their quarterback experiment has failed. Now I want you to imagine something for a second. Close your eyes and picture Shedeur Sanders in that same uniform. Picture him taking that first snap, scanning the field with those eyes that have seen pressure since he was in high school. Picture him stepping up in the pocket, going through his progressions, and delivering a strike 25 yards downfield to his receiver. That's what Cleveland is missing. That's what's sitting on their bench while they run this circus act with Dylan Gabriel. And it's not like the fans don't see it. You know who showed up to this game? Shedeur Sanders and Pilar Sanders. Dion's daughter and baby mama came to watch this game. And you know why? Because even they know that Shedeur should be out there. The camera kept cutting to them in the stands, and you could see it in their faces. Frustration, confusion, disbelief. They're watching the same train wreck we're all watching, wondering why one of the most talented quarterbacks in this draft. Class is riding the pine while Dylan Gabriel is out there completing passes that go backwards. Let me tell you something about Dylan Gabriel that the media won't say. They keep calling him a natural leader. They keep talking about his college success at Oklahoma. But what they're not telling you is that in the NFL, none of that matters if you can't make the throws. And Dylan Gabriel cannot make the throws. Every time he dropped back to pass in this game, It was like watching someone who knew he was about to fail. There was no confidence, no swagger, no belief. Just a guy going through the motions, hoping his running back could bail him out. Meanwhile, Myles Garrett, the best defensive player on that entire roster, had to come out and basically tell the media that the offense is garbage. He said it diplomatically, of course, talking about how everyone else needs to make plays because the offense is struggling. But we all know what that means. It means the defense is tired of carrying this team. It means they're exhausted from playing elite football while watching their offense go 3 and out every other drive. And it means they know, just like we know, that something has to change at the quarterback position. The really crazy part? Kevin Stefanski's play calling exposed everything. When you watch this game back, and trust me, I watched every painful second of it, you can see a coach who has zero faith in his quarterback. 3rd and 8? Bubble screen. 2nd and long? Running play. 1st and 10 in the red zone? Check down to the tight end. There wasn't a single moment where Stefanski dialed up a play that said, "I trust my quarterback to make this throw." Not once. And that tells you everything you need to know about what's happening in that building. You want to know what the most damning evidence is? The Dolphins' defense figured it out by halftime. They knew Cleveland wasn't going to throw the ball deep. They knew every play was going to be within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. So what did they do? They loaded the box, they played aggressive, and they dared Dylan Gabriel to beat them with his arm. And guess what? He couldn't do it. Even against one of the worst defenses in the league, Dylan Gabriel couldn't make them pay for disrespecting him. This is where I need to get real with you about what's happening here. This isn't just about football anymore. This is about organizational dysfunction. Jimmy Haslam, the owner, has to be losing his mind watching this. He's invested millions into this team. He's hired and fired coaches. He's brought in talent. And yet here we are, watching a quarterback who threw for 55 yards in a half start over a potential franchise quarterback who's sitting on the bench. And don't even get me started on the athleticism argument. All through the draft process, we heard about how Dylan Gabriel was more athletic than Shedeur Sanders. More mobile, better with his legs, could extend plays. Where was that against Miami? Every time there was pressure, Dylan looked like he wanted to curl up in a ball. There was one play where a defender came around the edge and Dylan just froze. Didn't try to escape, didn't step up in the pocket, just accepted the sack like it was inevitable. Is that your mobile quarterback? Is that the guy who's supposed to be more athletic than Shedeur? Let me tell you what Shedeur Sanders would have done in that situation. He would have felt the pressure, slid up in the pocket, kept his eyes downfield, and delivered a strike for a first down. That's the difference between a quarterback who's battle-tested and one who's still trying to prove he belongs. Shedeur has been playing under pressure his entire life. His father is Dylan Sanders. He played at Jackson State, where they had FCS talent going against FBS schedules. He went to Colorado and turned that program around with trash offensive line play. Pressure is nothing new to him, but Cleveland decided they wanted to go with the safe pick. The guy who played in a system that made quarterbacks look good. The guy who had elite talent around him his entire college career. And now we're seeing what happens when you take away all those advantages and ask Dylan Gabriel to just play quarterback. He can't do it. It's that simple. The running game was the only thing keeping Cleveland alive in this game. Quinshon Judkins was running through tackles, breaking off big gains, doing everything he could to give his team a chance. But here's the problem. You can't win in the NFL with just a running game. Eventually, defenses adjust. Eventually, you're facing 3rd and long. And when that happens, you need a quarterback who can convert. Dylan Gabriel proved over and over that he's not that guy. The Dylan Gabriel experiment has failed. It failed in the preseason when he looked shaky against backup defenders. It failed in the regular season when he couldn't move the ball against legitimate competition. And it definitely failed against the Dolphins when he put up numbers that would embarrass a college quarterback. At some point, You have to call it what it is, a mistake. And the longer Cleveland waits to correct that mistake, the more damage they're doing to their season and their franchise. Think about what this is doing to the locker room, too. You've got defensive players like Myles Garrett playing their hearts out, knowing their offense can't be trusted to hold a lead or put points on the board. You've got offensive skill players like the receivers and tight ends who are barely getting the ball thrown their way because the play calling is so conservative. And you've got Shedeur Sanders watching all of this, knowing he could help, but being told to wait his turn. That's not how you build a winning culture. The most frustrating part is that Cleveland keeps acting like they're protecting Shedeur by keeping him on the bench. But protecting him from what? From getting NFL experience? From learning on the job? From showing what he can do? That's not protection. That's sabotage. Every week that goes by is a week Shedeur isn't developing in real game situations. Every week is a week the team is wasting with a quarterback who's proven he's not the answer. And let's be real about something else. Dylan Gabriel knows he's not playing well. You can see it in his body language. You can hear it in his post-game interviews when he gives generic, rehearsed answers that don't address the actual problems. He knows the fans are turning on him. He knows his teammates are frustrated. And he knows Shedeur is waiting in the wings. That's not a sustainable situation for anyone involved. But here's where I'm going to give Shedeur his props, because this is what separates him from everyone else. Despite all of this, despite being passed over for a quarterback who's clearly inferior, despite watching his rookie season slip away, despite dealing with all the politics and BS, Shedeur has handled it with class. He's been a good teammate. He's supported Dylan Gabriel publicly, even though he knows he should be starting. He's stayed ready, stayed focused, and stayed professional. That's the sign of a real leader. That's the sign of someone who's going to be special in this league. The clock is ticking on Cleveland's season. They're 1-6 now after beating the Dolphins, and while that win might buy Dylan Gabriel another week or two, it doesn't change the fundamental problem. This team cannot win with Dylan Gabriel as their starting quarterback. They just can't. The offense is too limited. The play calling is too conservative. And Dylan simply doesn't have the tools to succeed at this level. So what happens next? Either Cleveland continues to be stubborn and waste another season, or they make the change everyone with eyes can see needs to happen. Start Shedeur Sanders. Give him the keys to the offense. Let him show what he can do with NFL talent around him. Because I promise you this, whatever growing pains come with starting a rookie quarterback can't be worse than what we're watching right now with Dylan Gabriel. The Dylan Gabriel experiment has failed. It's time to start the Shedeur Sanders era. And every game Cleveland waits to make that change is another game they're telling their fans that they care more about saving face than winning football games. Conclusion and call to action. Look, at the end of the day, this isn't about hating Dylan Gabriel as a person. I'm sure he's a good dude. But this is about winning football games, and Dylan Gabriel is not a winning quarterback at the NFL level. Shedeur Sanders is sitting right there, ready to go. And Cleveland is wasting everyone's time by not giving him a shot. Jimmy Haslam needs to step in and make this happen. The fans deserve better. The players deserve better. And Shedeur Sanders deserves his opportunity to show why he was one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. So I want to know what you think. Drop a comment below. Is it time for Cleveland to start Shedeur Sanders? Are you tired of watching Dylan Gabriel throw bubble screens for 55 yards a game? Let me know in the comments because I read every single one of them. And if you made it this far in the video, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Share this with any Browns fans you know who are frustrated with what they're watching. Because this message needs to get out there, the Dylan Gabriel experiment has failed, and it's time for Shedeur Sanders to take over. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay blessed, stay focused, and remember, the truth always comes out eventually. Peace. Peace.